Hello, and welcome to this episode of Redefining the Customer Journey, where we take a deep dive into how anyone, from a local small business owner up to a corporate CEO, can build a modern business that is flexible and able to quickly adapt and evolve. Specifically, in this episode, we're going to give you some major takeaways on the topic of daily operations. So make sure you listen all the way to the end on this one. With these easy to implement business principles, you're going to make more money while saving hundreds of hours by implementing a few simple steps. We've all seen businesses collapse because they were built on weak foundation, riddled with problems in their day to day, which are also unnecessarily complex to grow and scale. We want to help you build something that leverages your time and resources for maximum effectiveness without sacrificing your customer experience. I'm Paul Sokol, founder of BPro, best-selling author of the Infusionsoft cookbook, which contains over 80 CRM-based business recipes for automated follow-up. And I've been helping small to medium-sized businesses under 50 million grow with automation since 2008.
And I'm Bobby Purcell, founder of LeadPass.com, which helps you set your business processes on autopilot to free up more time for sales. And I've been in the automation world since 2016, primarily focused in the financial space. In each episode, we're going to go over one specific CRM topic to explain what it is, why it's important, common problems, and the best solution that we've seen throughout our experience. And as we mentioned for today's episode, we're going to talk about daily operations. So what are they? They're the documented processes and procedures that drive your business each and every day.
Full stop. The documented processes and procedures. That's the big key word there. It has to be written down, otherwise, it doesn't exist. So, why are these important, Bobby? Why do you need to have all your processes and procedures written down?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's hard to, go from one place to the next without a map or have an idea of exactly what needs to be to get there. So it's the literal cogs in the business machine that drive everything.
And especially when it comes to a CRM, these are the habits that drive everything. Because at the end of the day, a CRM is a piece of software with the database underneath it, and the things that you're doing in your day to day is what actually makes the business happen. So yes, in every episode up to this point, we've talked about the building and the planning and the execution of it. But once the stuff is built, you just have to go do it day in and day out. And so that's why we're here talking about the daily operations. The other reason why it's very important to have this stuff documented out, and this is the key takeaway of this, is that it's just very easy to set up the goals. So it's very easy to say, listen, here's how we create our big whopper in the kitchen. Our goal is to do 200 of these, and here's the document or the pictures or whatever for how we actually do that. So let's go right into some of the common issues that we see with this, because I think you would agree, Bobby, that yeah, once this stuff is built, you have to use it. And guys like you and I geek out on the creation and the launching, the building of it, but usually business is boring from day to day in that you're just doing the same stuff every single day. So what's some of the major
Yeah.
issues you see with this?
Some of the major issues that you see along pretty much every business is the base knowledge gaps. So assume that the user is
Yes.
more competent than they generally are, and saying, "Hey, listen, you went through all this training. You're supposed to be our admin person. We think that you're doing everything right, but in reality, they had issues at the start, in the middle, and at the end, and they might have been just too embarrassed to say, hey, listen, I need to slow down a little bit. I'm not really sure what I'm understanding here. Or they just simply think that they're doing it properly when they're not. So that's one of the huge issues that you have if you don't have a proper SOP set up when you're doing onboarding and or following up with the procedures along the time zone, the
Yes.
time frame.
An
So
SOP, standard operating procedure, that's what that stands for. And even inside those SOPs, you can have inefficiencies in that particular workflow that waste seconds. You can have extra clicks that you don't actually need. You can have multiple browser windows open that you don't actually need. There could be shortcuts you could be using for something that you don't actually need. And so that's a huge issue with SOPs. And in fact, that's one of the best. I'll hop to one of the solutions for this is to deep link into stuff. Most SOPs are digital documents, right? And you can hyperlink to stuff. So link directly to the place where you need to go. So instead of saying log into the CRM, go to this section of it, and then load this save search, just link directly to the save search. Get people where they need to be as soon as possible. And that's one way to get rid of those kinds of efficiencies. Um,
Yeah. Another one would be clearly stating, here's the start and here's the stop. There's a clear indication of exactly what's needed. There's no ambiguity in the step by step process. You know exactly what to do at each stage, and here you are, and this is when you're done. And you can mark it off as completed, or it's still in process and you need to finish the task.
Yeah, and even think about things like theme parks, right? There is a very clear start to the ride and a very clear stop to the ride, and the ride operators need to know this is when we begin, this is when we end. So you want to have those exact same things existing in your processes and in your procedures and your workflows here, um, which actually leads me to another common issue, and this is a big takeaway, is that um, did I say tape away? I think it's a takeaway, guys. Sorry, but in your SOPs, um, they'll get outdated and or just not followed. Things change over time, so your SOPs need to be these living documents that, as things change, you update them. And either the people working on them need to have the sovereignty to make those updates, or you need to have a process or procedure for submitting those changes to be made by the person that's accountable and responsible for making sure those resources are up to date.
And with reference to that too, like the periodic habits of individuals throughout their day-to-day processes have to be reevaluated all the time, or it's really hard to track exactly what they're doing or where they're excelling, where they're not excelling. Why did you have these KPIs at the end of the year? What did you accomplish? How come? Where's all your time going? And without having like a clear, concise measurement of all the tasks, it's really hard to say, okay, this is the daily operations, or this is not what's included in my day-to-day work.
Yes, and that leads to a really important distinction that I would say is absolutely a key takeaway of the governance and the accountability. So the person that is doing the thing is accountable to getting it done right, but there has to be the governance of somebody else to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So even again, keep using theme park rides, right? If you ever pay attention to people when the workers when you're hopping on a roller coaster or something like that, there might be four or five people working on there, and they'll just have like a thumbs up or thumbs down when the operator is allowed to hit go and start the ride. That's the governance. That's to make sure that, hey, listen, everybody's got their seatbelts on, lap bars are all down, whatever needs to happen. But that's a big issue, is that that governance or that accountability is not workable, in that it's not easy for somebody to say, yes, somebody is doing their job or they're not doing their job. And if you step over that, that can be a huge problem just for the daily operations.
Yeah, so one of the best solutions would be to develop a start and end of day habit. Just go from the beginning. So at the beginning of every day, here's your SOPs, here's your consistency, here's what you need to accomplish. And it can be as simple as, okay, the first thing you do, or realistically, when you think about it, it's like, okay, turn on the computer, which is like everyone who's not a toddler would know what to do. Then it's okay, let's check the emails. Let's make sure all my appointments are in order. Do I need to do anything that are tasks that were still from yesterday? And go through the whole process. Okay, what do I do before the end of the day? I need to make sure that these reports are done. And this is like an everyday thing. And you can check these off manually and you can track the KPIs of the individuals for more of the important tasks that you know that they're always performing or doing what's needed for the company at any time.
And that feeds back into that issue that we said, that the user is more competent than they genuinely are. For guys like us, it's obvious. One of the first things you do each day is look at your calendar. Where are you supposed to be and with whom? Go ahead and check your emails. Has anything come in? But that's assuming that somebody's totally on their game. That may not be the case. So you do need to make sure that that is inside your start and end of day of habits. Don't assume anything. And I alluded to it a little earlier, but I want to explicitly call out that you have to constantly reference and update those SOPs. Meaning, like, the team has to be going through this and going through it. And if a step changes, it should be very obvious to them that, oh, this is different now. And that needs to be updated. An SOP is never a one and done thing, it is a living document. Even I think of like delivery drivers where they're going up the same paths and the routes every single day. Well, guess what? When there's construction on the road, they have to reroute, and they are informed to tell their logistics coordinator or whatever that, hey, highway 123 is down, adjust accordingly. Like, that's the best solution to make sure that people don't just do things mindlessly without actually thinking about what they're doing.
Yeah. So one of the things too is like, so once you start to document the habits and the day to day of your individual staff, it becomes very easy to understand where all the time is going, what your daily procedures are missing, what needs to be tracked harder, or why things are not processing the same way. Like, so if you say, okay, hey, listen, I'm going to start my day and I have this, and this, and this that I'm supposed to do, and you never track where all your time goes, in reality, one of the things that you're supposed to be getting done that's supposed to take up the majority of your time could only be like 5 minutes of your day. Oh yeah, I was working on that. Okay, well, for how long? This task is supposed to be 2 hours of your time to complete. You've only spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or in the complete opposite, you spent 4 hours on that and it's still not done. How do you account for it, right? Which is the biggest thing. So if you want to track what the time is, you can track the money out for the individual person, and what their actual worth to the company is, or to the position.
Yes. And that actually leads back to a common issue that I don't think we touched on, which is that you'll have this siloed knowledge or this cultural tribal knowledge, and it's undocumented. It's not written down anywhere, but like the team knows it. The risk there, especially when working with the CRM, is that that means one person leaves, and the whole business operations leaves with them. Maybe the SOP says, go here, load this search, do this thing. But in the day to day, you have to load this search, adjust this filter, or adjust this search parameter, and then go about your day. If that's not being documented, you bring somebody new onto the team, they're going to be totally lost. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, no, it says to do this, but this is actually what we do. You don't want that. So again, that's why whatever your procedures are, your workflows, they're constantly being developed and constantly being updated, because business is constantly being developed and updated, especially with the CRM. It could even be something as simple as the navigation changes. Hey, listen, everything, I mean, with Google Ads, everything used to be in like the top right. There was a settings or a gear wrench option. Everything was here. Well, in the last couple of years, everything moved to a left menu. None of the functionality changed. But if your SOP says, hey, in the upper right, go ahead and click on the whatever the conversions and go down to this thing. Now it's on the left side of the menu. That's that kind of tribal siloed knowledge that you do not want to have. If the navigation of your software changes, feel however you want to feel about it. Make sure your SOP is up to date, that now you go to the left, which is another reason why deep linking directly to stuff is very helpful. Because even though the navigation might change, it's really rare for the actual URL itself to change, um, which I hope makes sense.
So I think the takeaway from the whole spectrum of the daily operations is that you should plan out exactly what each of your individuals who work for you are supposed to do. Make sure that you're going over it weekly, quarterly, monthly, making sure that everything is documented with timestamps, any processes that get updated, any new software that is working, whether that's leveraging a different platform from Slack to Microsoft Teams to streamline communication to new updates on Google, like Sokol just talked about. Every single piece should be tracked, updated, and you should know step by step what the process is.
Yes, fully track everything, where your money is going and your time is going out, and where it's coming in, and also periodicity too. This episode is about daily operations. Well, habits stack on top of each other. And I've written about this many times in many blog posts and many videos I've talked about that your daily habits beget your weekly habits, that beget your monthly habits, that beget your quarterlies, that beget your annual habits, right? So make sure that that is documented. And any of those periodic habits need to be written down and built into your daily workflow. If you do this thing once a week, so like a great example is financial habit stacking. And I guess I'll wrap up with this real quick. Even though it's not directly related to a CRM, I think this is important for any business to understand. So like once a week, go ahead and save a percentage of every deposit that came into your business, because that means that semi-monthly you can go ahead and make sure you're making payroll and paying all your people, which means that if you're doing that, then monthly you can make all your monthly payroll tax remittances, right? And if you're doing that monthly, that means that every single quarter you can report on the payroll taxes that you did pay. At least in the Americas, that's how you have to do it. You pay it at least monthly, and then you report on it quarterly, which means that annually you can quickly and easily say, listen, here's everybody we paid as an employee, here's everybody we paid as a contractor. It's all there. But if you're not doing the daily habits and the weekly habits impeccably, your monthly habits are going to fall apart, and then your quarterly habits and your annuals have no chance of being successful. And that's why bookkeepers and accountants have jobs. So I think that's it. Any you want to put some icing on that gravy, Bobby, at all?
No, I think that's pretty tempered in there. So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. Make sure you watch the next episode, and we're going to be talking about employee experience. Which be sure to subscribe now if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on it. And if you want to learn more about the customer journey, get Paul's free How to Automate Like a Pro mini course. And if you want to get some pre-built customer journey automations, I'm giving away free ones in the link below. And thank you so much, and have a great day.